competition for my lady. On.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're welcome to the gym.
Thank you very much.
Do you have your appointments?
Absolutely.
All right. Just have your seat and I'll get the present.
Going to sit down right there. All right, then. Thank you.
Inside the life, now inside the carcass. Open my eyes, Lord, make her see you.
Hair on one's head is vital to how you look, how a man looks, how a woman looks. For a long time, I had sleepless nights thinking of losing my hair, but after a while, I kind of got used to it. But the kicker here is actually having a hairline. Now, someone once asked me, why didn't I go for the full hair transplant? I said, even if I did, because I've gotten so used to having my hair so low, I will cut it and it will be the same thing anyway. I will still love my own hairline. A friend of mine again asked me, he said, Tony, whoever your barber is, he's doing a fantastic job. I said, my barber is Nikoyi and I go to him once a year. And I do it like this.
This driving I follow come. Still dreaming but I no sleep. Clear picture, no Photoshop. Many man calling, but I no pick. Many man calling, many man digging for me, but I no fall. Cause I love their plans, they jaga. Make I face my front. Make a budget, no use me.
Alright then people, another year in Vinci Hair Clinic, getting my hairline back. According to my friend, my yearly haircut, as I said. Who's your barber? Well, this here, they're my barbers. Anyway people, until the next video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and click the thumbs up. Till the next video, adios.
Now all of us be a shower. If I cheat on you, I'm sorry. And if you cheat on me, no. I'm sorry. And if you cheat on me, no. Not be my fault, you're not shy. Now all of us be a shower. If I cheat on you, I'm sorry. Yeah. I apologize. See, I do anything for your back, baby. When I know they mad, I go sharply go and come back.
Hello, Mr. Yunus. Welcome back to Beauty Hair Clinic for your third MSP session. How do you feel today?
Well, I feel good. I'm ready to go. Eager to change my clothes.
Amazing. Can you tell me what your expectation is for this session?
Well, my last two sessions were amazing, no doubt, and I'm really satisfied with the outcome. And I have no doubt that this third session is going to be amazing.
That's wonderful, Mr. Yunus. Let's get you started, shall we?
Okay, that they should bar all calls to his phone because it is interfering with his presentation. And his presentation, his slides are frozen. All we are hearing is just the audio. We can't do video.
Show me up, show me to the world. I wanna live my life with you.
Hello? Yes.
Show me up, show me to the world. I wanna live my life with you.
All right. Thank you.
You're like the beautiful sunrise in the
Mr. Yunus, how do you feel?
Well,
when I look into your
some
eyes and
drinks on my head. I think it's ready to go. Some people have a high interest. I feel relaxed. I can't wait to see my redesign live.
I just want to spend it all with you and grow with you and live in
Honestly, it's worth it. Gold patches. I like my new good-looking hairline. Now I can ditch my face tag. I think you guys should give it a try. It's really worth it, and I feel my confidence is back. You guys should give it a try.
Well, what can we say? Another satisfied customer. If you have any doubts about this obviously cleared your doubts. We're waiting for you. Book your free consultation session right now.
After a while, I kind of got used to it. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're welcome to the gym.
Thank you very much.
Do you feel appointment?
Absolutely.
Alright. Just have your seat and I'll get you presented.
Going to sit down right there. All right, then, thank you.
inside the life, now inside the carcass. Open my eyes, Lord, make her they see you.
Hair on one's head is vital to how you look, how a man looks, how a woman looks. For a long time, I had sleepless nights thinking of losing my hair, but after a while, I kind of got used to it. But the kicker here is actually having a hairline. Now, someone once asked me, why didn't I go for the full hair transplant? I said, even if I did, because I've gotten so used to having my hair so low, I will cut it and it will be the same thing anyway. I will still love my own hairline. A friend of mine again asked me, he said, Tony, whoever your barber is, he's doing a fantastic job. I said, my barber is Nikoyi and I go to him once a year. It's a Vinci hair clinic. And I come and I'm again and I do it like this.
This driving I follow come. Still dreaming but I no sleep. Clear picture, no Photoshop. Many man calling, but I no pick. Many man calling, many man digging for me, but I no fall. Cause all of their plans, they jaga. Make I face my flaws. Make a budget, no use me.
All right, there, people. Another year in Vinci Hair Clinic, getting my hairline back. According to my friend, my yearly haircut, as I said. Who's your barber? For this here, they're my barbers. Anyway, people, until the next video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and click the thumbs up. Till the next video.
For joining us, and the day this is the Zoom seminar your hair loss issues. Joining Blessings will be your next 1 minute study that might change one. If bring that if you find yourself in this category, or you have a friend, or your friend, or you know the list goes is the category of those who are suffering from extreme baldness. So if you find yourself in that category, please feel free to tune in right now. And you know baldness, or you know someone who wants instant solution to their hair loss problems, they have scarring due to and a lot of things, or you're just curious about the procedure that we've always talked about, like what is this Msp procedure that we're always talking about here at Vinci Hair Clinic, then this is your chance to get to know more about it, and also your chance to share with your friends, your family, your brother, your sisters, and anyone who needs to know. So once again, welcome to our Zoom seminar where we'll be discussing the Msp procedure. We're still in the month of April, and if you didn't know, April is the MSP month. Now for MSP means the microscalp pigmentation, and April is the month where we celebrate this amazing life-changing procedure. I'm sure you'll agree with me on that. Anyways, if you want to take action, if you want to be more confident, if you want to get your youthfulness back, then this is where you should be. And I promise you, it's going to be worth every minute of your time. Now, let me officially welcome you once again to our Zoom seminar. And don't forget to share, don't forget to drop your comments. It's a conversational seminar. So we need your questions, we need your comments, because we will be answering your questions. So don't forget your questions. Now, if you saw the video where we were introducing the seminar, we mentioned that 5 people will stand a chance to win a free MSP session, and we weren't bluffing, right? A free MSP session worth 600,000 Naira in Nigerian currency. So if you want to be in that category, please make sure you're here, you're present, and you're not just present, but you're also active. Now, before we go further, that said, I want to give a very, very brief explanation as to what the MSP is, in case you don't know. Now, the MSP procedure is a cutting-edge procedure that uses pigments to create the illusion of hair follicles. It's a procedure that doesn't require anesthesia, it's safe and effective, it's fade-resistant, and it lasts for years, and it requires no medication or aftercare. Now, the procedure was invented by Dr. Salva Bjornsson. And the beautiful thing is we have Dr. Salva here today. Now, I'm not going to be ahead of myself, but I'm just trying to give you snippets of what you should expect. So in case you're thinking of leaving this Zoom seminar anytime soon, think again, because we have the Zoom seminar is packed with experts and of course clients who will give you their own testimonials. So that said, without delay, please permit me to welcome our panelists, and we're going to be welcoming them in batches, right? So that we don't have all of them at once, because we want them to service you and give you, we want your full attention. So we want them to service you one after the other. We don't want any excuse like we didn't get enough of this person, we didn't get enough that person. So we're going to be bringing them one after the other. So without any delay, permit me to welcome our panelists, the group of experts who will be taking us through this session, one after the other. And the first person on my list here is none other than the Africa Regional CEO of Vinci Hair Clinic. And I'm talking about Mr. Ayo Otubanjo. Now, like I said, he is the Africa Regional CEO of Vinci Hair Clinic, and he's the regional CEO, and he's responsible for the growth of the brand and expansion of its network of clinics across the whole of Africa. Now, in his quest to provide Africans with easy look access to professional and international standard treatments for hair loss, Mr. Ayo oversaw the opening of Vinci Hair Clinics in Nigeria and in Ghana, and he plans to open more in other African countries. So we're not backing down anytime soon. He has published several articles in professional journals and newspapers, and he has been featured on local and international media platforms to share his wealth of knowledge. His passion to ensure that every African is sporting a healthy head on their hair. Please, once again, help me make welcome Mr. Ayo Otubanjo, the regional CEO for Africa of Vinci Hair Clinic. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Ayo.
Thank you very much, Blessings. Thank you. Thanks. It's great to be with everybody. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mr. Okay, without wasting time, I would just want for you to help us explain why the MSP procedure is a great option for Africans. I mean, not just for Africans, but I want Africans to understand why this is a great option for them.
particularly for them? Yes, that's a very good question. Now, if you notice, most African men that are already bald would typically tend to have a shaved look. So there won't be having parts of the hair growing on the sides or at the back. They will rather have the whole of the scalp clean shaven. Now, that is just one possible solution which is available to everyone. But the other thing which is not available to them is, how do they then mask the baldness? How do they recreate their hairline? Now, this is where microscopigmentation becomes an ideal solution for the vast majority of Africans. We already know that it's currently fashionable, like I said, for African men, once they've started going bald, to decide on a shaved look. So giving them this, giving them the microscopigmentation is a great solution to cover the baldness and restore their hairline. Now, the other thing about scalp pigmentation and its appropriateness for Africans is that our skin generally absorbs the pigments, the ink pigments that we use better, perhaps, than other racial groups. I don't know why, but that's just my personal observation. I mean, once an African person has had a scalp pigmentation procedure completed, it's very rare for them to come in and have a touch-up within a short space of time. Most people tend to just have the 3 sessions that we offer, and they're good to go for several years. I mean, I'm a recipient of the scalp pigmentation, and the last time I had a touch-up was nearly 8 years ago. So, and I still think it's looking really nice. So yeah, the skin generally absorbs the pigments very well. Now, the other thing about scalp pigmentation, and something we'll talk about later, possibly when we compare with tattoos, is that the ink pigments range are designed to match every skin tone, from the very dark to the very light. I mean, African skin tone varies widely, from the very dark to the very light. And, for reasons and which we will talk later, especially when Karina talks about, the difference between the scalp pigmentation and tattoo. You will see why having a wide range to match all the skin tones that you see in African men, a very important thing. The other thing is the cost of an Msp is significantly lower than the alternative option, which is a hair transplant. Now, for those who are fortunate enough to be a good quality hair transplant candidates, it's fine if that's what they want. But for some people, the cost of the transplant procedure might be prohibitive for them. MSPs are usually about a quarter of the cost of a transplant. So that is quite an attraction for Africans. And, we want to try and make the scalp pigmentation as affordable as possible to the vast majority of people that approach us are looking for a solution to their hair loss. So, so scalp pigmentation is a great choice, great option for Africans for those reasons, and many more besides. So, so those are the reasons why they are great for Africans.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo, for clarifying that. And I'm sure that a lot of people will have their answers now. Now, before we go further, I would just like to remind us that the chat box is open. I saw someone complaining that it was closed earlier, but it's now open. So please, you can send in your questions. I'm already taking down questions. I'm already seeing questions, and I'm going to be jotting them down because I'm monitoring from here. So at the end of the entire seminar. We're going to start answering the questions, and of course, they'll do justice to your questions. So whatever question you have, whether before now or a while during the course of the seminar, please just write it down, and then I'll take note of it. So someone is monitoring the chat box. Don't think that we're just neglecting that. But thank you once again, Mr. Ayo, for clarifying why Africans need the MSP procedure. Now, without wasting much time, next up, please let's make welcome Dr. Salva Bjornsson. Now, Dr. Salva is the global CEO of Vinci Hair Clinic. And like I said earlier, he is the inventor of this life-saving and game-changing procedure known as the MSP. Now, Dr. Salva is one of the world's top hair loss experts. He personally suffered from early onset of hair loss. I know a lot of people didn't know that. And he spent years looking for ways to counter his thinning frontal hairline. He tried all types of hair loss medication and treatments before finally having a hair transplant. Now, Dr. Salva has since used his own experiences to help other hair loss sufferers on the journey to hair restoration. Dr. Salva trained as a surgical assistant in hair transplant from 2006 and has not only focused on surgical hair transplant, but he's also the inventor of the microscalp pigmentation. So once again, please help me make welcome Dr. Salva Bjornsson. Thank you, Dr. Salva, for joining us.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, Dr. Salva, can you just quickly walk us through why you invented the MSP procedure and what motivated that?
Yeah, our focus has always been to help any type of hair loss sufferer. And what we found out very early days when we were only offering hair transplants, that there's a great variety of people who are not a good candidate for a hair transplant. So a hair transplant depends on you having a good donor area that matches the area that you need to place it. So out of 10 people that come in for a consultation for a hair transplant, probably 2 to 3 are not a good candidate for the procedure. And back when we were starting, we didn't really have much to offer them. So we started looking into alternative solutions. And that's how we came across the scalp pigmentation and especially me and Karina that perfectioned this treatment. And it took obviously a long time. So it was for people who are not candidates, poor donor area, or simply didn't want to have surgery, because there is a quite variety of men and women as well who just are not interested in having the surgery either for fear or just other personal reasons. There are people who have other illnesses like alopecia areata, where there is a small spot, or even alopecia universalis, where there is no hair to work with, and the micropigmentation works very well for these individuals. We also had a lot of problems with old hair transplants. We're talking people that had hair transplant much longer ago when the technique wasn't as refined and they had a lot of scars. And the MSP is a fantastic way of camouflaging scars from older surgeries, as well as adding density to previous hair transplants. So as hair transplants are a question of supply and demand, sometimes there is not enough in the donor area to give a good density with the hair transplant. But with MSP, we can really, really help this. So this, like everything else that we do, is just focused, how can we help the client that we have the best? And like Ayo went into, for African clients who like to shave their head, you can get the same look. It make it look like you have a new, fresh hairline all the time without the need of surgery. And the other thing that is also important is if somebody, for example, starts having a hair transplant at an early stage, hair loss goes on. It gets worse with time. So they believe they have to have treatments or go on medication to stop further hair loss from happening. Now with MSP, we can simply do this in touch succession. Let's say you have an MSP today, we work on the frontal area. In a few years' time, you've lost more area in the crown. Then we can simply just add more MSP to that area to cover the whole scalp. So it's a fantastic treatment that can work in so many ways for everybody that wants a short hairstyle, who needs to camouflage something, has other medical illnesses where it is not viable to do a hair transplant. So really proud of our team for coming up with the MSP and how we've been able to do that and help so many people.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Salva. Thank you for clarifying that. And thank you for inspiring people with your, invention, because that has been a life-changing, game-changing procedure, if I may say. Now, without wasting time again, I would like for us to now invite Karina Santos. Now, Karina Santos is the co-founder and senior staff trainer of Vinci Hair Clinic. Karina is Vinci Hair Clinic's co-founder, and she worked as a hair transplant technician in the UK before becoming one of the first persons in the world to learn microscalp pigmentation technique. So when I say that we're bringing you experts, I really do mean it. She has treated thousands of clients and 100 technicians at Vinci Hair Clinic's international treatment centers. Once again, please help me welcome Karina Santos. Thank you so much, Karina, for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to speak about something that is like, I am truly passionate about what I do, and it's very amazing to be able to share this experience with you guys.
I mean, being one of the first persons in the world to learn the MSP procedure, there's no telling that you are the best person, the best candidate to answer this question. And so I'm going to be passing this question over to you. What exactly is the MSP procedure and how effective is it?
So the MSP procedure, which stands for microscalp pigmentation, is a simulation of the follicles when it's completely shaved. So we recreate the whole area with the micropigmentation using a pigment proper for your skin and the same color as your follicles. So you're gonna recreate the whole area where you lost your hair, and we're gonna design a new hairline, which is gonna, give you that frame to your face, make you look like 10 times younger. And it's a procedure that is done in depends a lot of how many sessions, it depends of each person, but usually 2-3 sessions is enough. And it's takes about 3 hours to do the procedure. It's a very not very invasive procedure, so it's quite simple. It's not painful. We have very good anesthetic cream as well that we apply. So just to try to make our client to feel more comfortable. We need also, that's very important, which many people don't know, is the quality of your skin for the procedure, moisturizing it, make sure the skin is in great condition so you can have the best result of the micropigmentation. So micropigmentation is not only for shaved hairstyle, but it's also for longer hairstyle. We are combining a lot lately with the hair transplant. So some people start doing pigmentation, they do hair transplant after, or some people just do the hair transplant and they decide to shave it and go for the MSP style. So it's very popular at the moment, and I think it looks really nice and looks super natural.
And how would you rate the success of that procedure since you started using it, since you knew about it? And how would you rate the level of knowledge that people have of that procedure? Because it would surprise you to know that not everybody knows about the MSP. So from your own knowledge and your own opinion, what would you say is the success rate and the rate at which people know about it?
Well, people are getting to know more and more about the microscalp pigmentation. And I would say that at the moment, we are getting more and more popular, and this procedure is getting to be known more about all over the world. Because when we started, it was we were the pioneers of this procedure, but now it's getting very popular, and actually is the first choice. People are kind of they prefer the micropigmentation than getting the surgery. At the moment is really, I think I would say it's almost at the same level as the hair transplant.
Fantastic. And would you say there are any side effects?
No, there is no side effects. It's just the care that you need to take after the procedure, which you cannot wash for a few days, 5 to 7 days, and avoid sweating, exercising during this time. And after that, you just normally, there is nothing, no side effect, there's no allergy. It's a very, very efficient. Our pigment is very good, very organic. So we never really had any problems or no side effects at all.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you so much, Karina Santos. Now, in case you're just joining us, this is the Zoom seminar where we'll be talking about the microscalp pigmentation. It's a procedure, like Karina has probably explained, that uses pigment to create the illusion of real hair. And, you know, from all our speakers, such as Salva, Mr. Ayo, and Karina, you'll see that the MSP procedure is a very safe and effective procedure. Eventually, we'll get into the myths and misconceptions that a lot of people have about it, but that is why we're having this seminar, to clarify a lot of things so that you can have a better knowledge of the procedure and you can be well equipped, you know, with the knowledge of what to do before the procedure, during the procedure, and even after. And I just want to say thank you to those who are already participating, those who are already dropping their questions. We see these questions and we're definitely going to answer it in no time. I'm scrolling through the questions now and I'm seeing the questions, and definitely we're going to answer it in no time. So it's just a reminder that the chat box is open. Drop your questions, drop your observations, whatever it is that you want us to address. This is the time, this is the opportunity to do that. And also, do not just join this session on your own. Now, you might not need it. You might just need it for the knowledge of it, but there's someone out there who needs it as a lifesaver, who needs to change their hair game, and you might just be the link to that person. So I would want you to be the conduit between Vinci Hair Clinic and the next prospective client by sharing the link to this Zoom meeting and also telling someone about it before it ends. We still have a couple of time. We still have about an hour to go. So there's still enough time to share the link and also tell someone about it. Right. So that said, we'll now be asking our first 4 questions. Like I said, it's a conversational meeting. So it's not just the expert or the clients that will be talking. We'll also want to get your feedback. So we'll be asking our first 4 questions. And here's how it works. You will see the question on your screen, and all you have to do is answer the question accordingly. We'll wait for a minute or 2 because we don't want to, spend all day waiting for the responses, but please answer as fast as you can. So the questions will pop up. All you have to do is answer the question, and we'll get your response and check out the statistics. Now, the first question is, do you have a better idea of what an MSP is? Haven't heard all the speakers so far. Is there at least a little bit of clarity to what the MSP procedure is? That's the question. So all you have to do is answer the question and we'll check the responses. You see the poll is up. It says, do you have a better idea of what an MSP is? And, we're getting answers already. Thank you so much for that. 14%, 16%, 19%, it's rising. So we'll just wait a little to see your responses. Haven't heard all the speakers so far. Do you now have a better understanding of what an MSP, that's the microscalp pigmentation, is all about? So we'll wait a little to see your responses. And I'm seeing the responses already. You're doing fantastic. I like this. Thank you so much for participating. We can see your response. Just keep them coming, keep them coming. We have 19/26 saying that 73% people of the people saying they have a better understanding, and 27% surprisingly don't understand yet, but that's fine. That's fine because we'll still clarify a lot. So please let your answers keep coming in so that we'll know where we stand at this point. So the question again says, I haven't heard all our speakers. Do you think that by now you have a better understanding of what the end procedure is? 20 seconds more because we're not going to be here all day. But we're getting your answers already. 77% says they understand now. At least they're not saying they understand completely. It's not like you understand completely. Do you understand better at least? So 23% says they don't yet have a full understanding, which is fine. We're still here. We'll still tackle all your challenges and your questions. And 78% says they now understand better. All right, I think by now we're wrapping up and we're good to go. If you haven't answered, it means you were not fast enough. So you have 2 more questions coming up in the poll session. So that's just to tell you that you need to up the speed, right? Thank you so much for participating in the poll so far. 78% says they have a better understanding and 24% are still yet to understand what the MSP procedure is about. But like I said, that's fine. That is why we're here. And they say, Nigerians will say, for those who are non-Nigerians, Nigerians will always say, now person will ask question. That means that if you ask questions, you definitely get directions to where you're going. I like that people are, straight up about what they they mean, what they intend to say. I like that they're not hiding the fact that they don't understand yet. So it's okay, it's all right, we're still here. And that said, we're going to the next segment now. So this is the result. 76% says they understand, and 24% says they don't understand yet. That's okay. All right, so before we go further, this is just a reminder that 5 people stand a chance. That's a lot, if you ask me, that's a lot. 5 people stand a chance of winning free MSP sessions, which is worth, in case you don't know, is worth 600,000 Naira. That's in Nigerian currency, and over 1,000 Naira, over $1,000, it's not Naira, $1,000 in, the American currency. So 5 people stand a chance to win free MSP sessions. So if you want to be one of those, all you have to do is participate. So I want to be seeing your questions. I want to see you participate in the polls, and I want to see you active. So don't just be here, right? Participate in the seminar entirely. So you stand a chance to win a free MSP session worth 600,000 Naira or $1,000. All you have to do is stay on the seminar, and please make sure that you share. I cannot emphasize that enough. Someone out there might need this, and it's just a link. All you have to do is click the link and share the link so someone can join and know better about the MSP. Who knows, that is the game changer that person has been waiting for. Anyways, I think I'm talking too much now. I'm not the expert who is here to address the issues. So I'll just keep quiet and let the experts do their job. So we are now in the second segment of the program, and I'm going to be bringing back our Africa regional CEO, Mr. Ayo Tubanjo. Right, in case you're just joining us, we read out his bio earlier, and because of our time, we will not be able to read it again. But Mr. Ayo is Africa Regional CEO for Vinci Hair Clinic, and he runs the Ghana and Nigeria branches. And that's not all. He also intends to open more branches in Africa. So in case you're in another African country that is not Ghana or Nigeria, for now, just help us manage because we're coming in hot. Anyways, that said, thank you, Mr. Ayo, for still being here with us. Mr. Ayo will now be helping us understand some of the myths that people have about the MS procedure, and it will help us clarify it. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Ayo.
Thank you, blessings. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Now, we will now be talking about the myths that so many people have about the MSc procedure. I think that every concept on earth has myths attached to them because a lot of people, like we said earlier, do not understand the concept of this procedure. And instead of settling down to learn it, they now begin to spread rumors and myths about the procedure that hinder people from having the procedure done. And I have a list of them here. Depending on how much time we have to tackle it, I would like to ask you one after the other so you can help us debunk the rumors and clarify the myths. So here it goes. Now, some of the myths that a lot of people have about the MSc procedure include, the first one is that the MSc procedure is a painful procedure. Mr. Ayo, please help us answer that. Is it painful?
Well, yes, thank you very much, Blessings. I mean, like you quite rightly said, I mean, there are several myths and misconceptions about this microscopic pigmentation procedure. It's not that painful. I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience, so it's not as if I'm speaking without somebody that's actually been through it. We always apply a numbing cream or anesthesia on the scalp of the client before we actually start the procedure. In addition to that, our MSP technicians and nurses have been trained, to give, to have intervals, where the client can have a rest, so it could be 5 minutes, for every 15 minutes or 10 minutes for every 30 minutes, whatever, so that, because yes, it's not without pain, it's not without a little bit of discomfort, but it's nothing that one can classify as very painful. Now, the needle that we use, obviously, is a fine needle, which obviously it's a lot more, it's a lot better than what a tattooist we use. But then the way, the technique of actually putting the pigments underneath the skin is done in such a way as to minimize any inconvenience or pain to the client. So no, it's not very painful. Certainly not correct.
All right, thank you for answering that. Another myth that people have about or believe about the MSP is that it's expensive. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, if you remember what I said earlier, the reason why MSP is such a great option for Africans is simply because it's relatively cheaper than a transplant. So if somebody who's already bald and already has a shaved scalp is looking for a solution which will cover the baldness and recreate his hairline at a fairly reasonable cost, then an MSP is certainly the ideal solution for them. What's expensive? I mean, we just talked about 600,000 naira as the cost of a part scalp MSP. Now, that might be a huge amount for a great majority of people. But then, if you have to go abroad for this same procedure, you have to think, how much more would you have to pay? So that's the way to look at it. And we're always here and ready, to help clients, because we know baldness can be quite a distressing condition for a lot of people. So wherever we can help, we do help. So no, it's not too expensive, for the vast majority of people that really want the solution and find it reasonably priced, for them to have it. Yeah.
Okay. Also, is it only for men? Because that's another belief that people have, that it's just for men.
No, it's not. I mean, you heard Karina, talk about the long hair MSP. So, and that's usually very ideal for somebody who perhaps have not quite a full density of hair, and they're just looking to hide, the gaps between the hair. So when we talk about the long hair MSP, it's just simply a way of strategically placing pigments in between the gaps to create the visual look of density. It doesn't increase the hair volume, but increase the visual density. So it's not just for men, although I would say that perhaps 99% of microscopic pigmentation clients are men. For obvious reasons. They're usually the ones that, have no problem with a shaved look. So scalp pigmentation works ideally for them. But equally, there are some women who are not entirely bald, but don't have the density that they're really looking for. So we are able to use the long hair MSP technique to give them that visual density.
Okay, and because of our time, I mean, there are a lot of myths, but because of our time, I'll just ask one last one, and that is the MSP procedure permanent?
Sorry, I didn't quite get that question, sorry.
Yeah, so I was just asking if the MSP procedure is permanent.
Oh, yes, I mean, it's what we call semi-permanent in the sense that it doesn't last forever. So typically we give a range of between 5 to 7 years before you might need to come in and have a touch-up. I mean, for instance, I've used myself as an example earlier on. I last had my touch-up nearly 8 years ago. And, I don't know if people can actually see clearly my scalp. I mean, you see my hairline, you see the rest of the scalp, and you cannot tell that I'm actually bald. You might just think, oh, this is somebody that just prefer to have a shaved look. But no, I've had scalp pigmentation, and the last session I had was nearly 8 years ago.
8 years ago, and it still looks fantastic. So you see, it is not permanent, but I mean, it is semi-permanent, and it really does look natural. For those who believe that it looks fake, it doesn't look fake. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo, for clarifying some of the myths. We really do appreciate it. Well, now we will be bringing up again Dr. Salva Beyonson. I think it's right to say that he's the reason that we're even having this seminar in the first place. So once again, Dr. Salva, thank you for staying with us on this seminar. For those who are just joining, Dr. Salva is the Global CEO for Vinci Hair Clinic. And I want him to help us also talk about some of the misconceptions that people have. Dr. Salva, thank you for staying with us.
It's a pleasure.
All right. So, Dr. Salva, I mean, no better person to ask than you Now, a lot of people have had misconceptions, and Mr. Ayo has done justice to, some of the myths that people usually have about the procedure. But that's not to say that a lot of people do not have false impressions about this procedure. So I would just like to also ask you about some of the misconceptions that people have, for example, about the procedure being fake. What do you have to say about that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last bit there. Can you say it again?
Okay, so I was saying that one of the misconceptions that people have, Mr. Ayo has clarified some of the myths, but I would also like for you to talk about some of the misconceptions. And one of those is that the procedure usually looks fake. Some people think it looks fake. What do you have to say about that?
Well, that depends a lot on who is doing the procedure, number one. So the first thing when we're working scalp pigmentation, especially when it's on a shaved hair, where we're recreating the whole hairline, is the hairline needs to be natural. Now, obviously, if we would do the hairline all wrong and it wouldn't be suitable for that person, it would look fake. But when it's done naturally, we respect the proportions of the face, we respect where the hairline used to be. It is extremely, extremely realistic. And I can have somebody right in front of me and I can be looking at his head. If it's a nicely done MSP by any of our technicians, I will have problems seeing what is actual hair and what is MSP. It's really that close that even from a close inspection of somebody that looks at hair every day, I struggle to see which is what. That is not correct that it looks fake unless it's done. And today, like Karina touched on earlier, I mean, when we started doing this is over 10 years ago, there were almost nobody doing it. Today, you have some technicians out there, even tattoo artists who are offering this. It's not the same thing. I mean, I think this is the main thing to bear in mind. If you're going to have this procedure done, you really have to have it done with an expert that's going to design your hairline, place the correct pigment, place them in the correct depth of the skin, and then they will definitely not be looking fake.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Also, a lot of people tend to ask questions like, what's the difference between the MSP procedure and a tattoo? Can you help us clarify that? Yeah,
I mean, they're obviously related procedures, but the main difference is tattoo is applied with a very, very different needle, number one. It goes deeper into the scalp. So you will see it's more of a deep effect under the skin. Now, the micropigmentation is put in with a much smaller needle. Now, when we take the needle for the MSP, when you push the needle, it actually bends. It has the same diameter as a hair. It's extremely, extremely small needle. When we place that into the scalp, it is much more superficial than a traditional tattoo. So it goes just between the layers of the epidermis and the dermis, and that creates this look that makes it extremely realistic. Now the tattoo goes much deeper. There is much more chance of a tattoo bleeding, what's called inside the skin, where it blotches out the tattoo. This doesn't happen with MSP application. And the pigments obviously were designed especially for scalp. The pigments we use with MSP different to a tattoo pigment. So definitely be very, very careful if you decide having them. We've seen a lot of results from tattoo artists trying to do this procedure, and they're usually not very pleasing for the eye. So they're related procedures, but no, they're definitely not the same.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Salve, for helping us clarify that. And for the people watching, at least now you know that the MSP procedure is not all that painful. Yes, a bit of discomfort, but it's not something that is not worth it. It's worth it at the end. And then the MSP is different from a tattoo. So you're not getting a tattoo. You're getting an MSP done. And it only looks fake if it's done by a quack, right? And that's why we recommend that you come to the best in the game. That's the Vinci Hair Clinic. And Mr. Ayo has said that it's not only for men, just like Karina mentioned earlier, that there is a long hair MSP. So that should give you a clue that it's not just for men. And also it's not permanent, but it's semi-permanent. It lasts for long, and you just have to do some touch up once in a while after a long period of time. And it's not all that expensive, honestly, in my opinion. It's something that is worth it. We see people spending so much money on getting wigs and all of that. So why not spend or invest in your actual natural hair, so that you can rock that better instead of wearing wigs to cover it up, buying caps, expensive caps, by the way, to cover it up, or, having haircuts that will actually expose that you have a problem with your hair. So I think that so far has been clarified. Thank you once again, Dr. Salva. And now I would like for us to also bring up Karina Santos. For those who are joining for the first time, Karina Santos is co-founder and senior staff trainer at Vinci Hair Clinic, and one of the first persons to learn about the procedure. So like I said earlier, no better person to ask these questions. Thank you for staying with us, Karina. All right, Karina, now we've been talking about, and thank you. Now we've been talking about the myths and misconceptions, and so far, Mr. Ayo and Dr. Salva have done absolute justice to some of the myths that have been spreading over time. And these are the reasons that a lot of people have refused to get the MSP procedure done. And I'm glad that we're clarifying it now. But one of the other, misconception that people have is that the MSP procedure is only done on bald people. So, I mean, if I'm not bald, I don't need the procedure. What would you say to that?
Sorry, the question for me, right? So, so the micropigmentation that you were asking, sorry, I just didn't hear it very well. Can you repeat the question, please?
That's fine. No, that's fine. So I was saying that a lot of people have this misconception that the MSP procedure is only done on bald people. So if I'm not bald, for example, I don't need the procedure done. And I think that also stems from the fact that people think that it's only for people who have low cut. So I would like for you to address that as well.
Yeah, so the micropigmentation is not only for like shaved hairstyle, as Salva mentioned before, it's also very good for covering scars, and not only scars of hair transplant, but also like scars from different procedures, or even scars from like childhood, so it can help with a lot of things, like covering scars, hiding the thin of your hair, so like the bald patches for long hair, like we mentioned before, and the shaved hairstyle, which is the most popular. And so it's a variety of solutions, like for men and women, that the micropigmentation can be a pretty good solution.
Okay, thank you for that, Karina. Finally, one of the misconceptions is also that the MSP procedure is a one-size-fits-all. And that means that whatever hair loss issue you have, whatever problems you have, the MSP procedure will solve the problem. Is that true?
No, the MSP is not going to solve. The MSP is like a complement, it's more like, it's not a medical procedure. It's like more like a recreation of like illusion of hair. So you cannot really compare like a medical condition or anything to the micropigmentation. But the good thing is that at Vinci, we are specialized in hair loss. So we work with doctors. So we have all the assistance to recommend you the best treatment for you. But I would say that micropigmentation doesn't really relate to like, I would say medical issues or, yeah, I think.
All right, thank you so much for that, Karina. And thanks to Dr. Salva and also Mr. Ayo for clarifying it. Now you know whatever people have told you about the MS procedure, at least it has been clarified now. And if there's any other myth or misconception that you've heard that has made you believe that the MSP procedure is harmful or is not effective, you can also spot that out and we'll address it. But I assure you that the MSP procedure is one of the best things that would ever happen to you if you have any hair loss issue or any form of low self-esteem about your hair. So that said, the questions are coming in. I'm seeing the questions popping up. Thank you so much for participating. And don't forget, we're going to answer the questions, as many as we can. Now I'm thinking of elongating the time allotted for the questions, because these questions are actually valid questions that require answers. But let's see how that goes. So please just keep the questions coming in, and we'll definitely do justice to that. Once again, thanks to my absolutely amazing guests for helping us clarify some of the issues so far. Well, that said, we have come to our next poll question, and we're going to be asking now, in case you're just joining, we had a first poll question where we asked whether or not you have a better understanding of the MSP procedure. I won't ask that same question, but I'm hoping that by now you have at least a 95% understanding of what the MSP procedure is. Anyways, I mean, I wouldn't expect too much, but that's what I think it should be. But I'm not going to ask that same question. So for those who are just joining, this is how it works. We're going to ask a question. They're going to put it on the screen. And the question we're asking now is, do you feel better informed about the benefits of having an MSP? Now, the first one is whether you have a better understanding of the MSP. But now we're asking, do you feel better informed about the benefits that are accrued to having an MSP session? So if your answer is yes, just click yes. If it's no, click no. There's no shame in it. It's fine. We're here to answer your question. So I like the honesty. So please keep it up. If you feel better informed, please click yes. If you do not, please click no so we can know where we are at. So the poll is up. The question is up. So we're just going to wait for like a minute or two to let your answers come in while I monitor the statistics from here. So far we have 24 people out of 100, 24% out of 100. That's 26 people out of 46 persons saying that they have a better understanding. We have 93% saying they have a better understanding and 7% saying that they still don't understand this about the benefits of the MSP procedure, which is fine. I'm very sure that by the end of this session, you will be 150% convinced. That's my hope anyway. So we'll still wait for like a minute for you to send in your answers so that we can know where we're at. It means us going back to answer it, although I can't guarantee that, to be honest. But I mean, of course, we're always here to answer your questions. So let's just know where we're at with informing you and keeping you better informed about the MSP procedure. So I'm stalling because I'm waiting for you to answer. Don't forget, speed is of the essence. So we'll need you to answer as fast as you can so that we can get your answers and keep moving. I know that you still have a lot of questions that are yet to be answered. So we need to move on to the next segment as quickly as possible. So far we have 94% saying that they are better informed and 6% are still not convinced yet, which is fine. So please keep your questions coming in. We have about 10 seconds to go to answer these questions. Okay, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Well, once again, I would like to remind you that this is a Zoom seminar that we have tagged the MSP Zoom seminar, for lack of a better title to give to it. Now, in case you didn't know, April is the MSP month. The MSP means microscope pigmentation, and we're basically just answering your questions and giving you better information about the MSP procedure, because we realize that a lot of people have so much misconception, so much misunderstanding about this procedure. And instead of getting this procedure done that can change their hair game, they're still reluctant about it. And that's why we decided to have this Zoom seminar. And you're not just coming here to listen, you stand a chance of being one of 5 persons who will have a free MSP session. I'm talking about a session that is worth over 600,000 Naira in Nigerian currency and $1,000 in American currency. So you're not just here wasting your time. I'm sure that you're getting information which is of utmost priority, and I'm sure that you want to stand a chance to be part of the 5 persons. So this, you have everything to gain, like I said in the beginning, and nothing to lose from this session. And don't forget to share the link, tell someone about it. We still have a little time. So tell someone about the procedure. We're going now to the segment where you see clients firsthand who will tell you how this has changed their hair game. So we're here for it. Anyways, the poll session is over. We had 94%, now have of people who still do not understand completely, which is okay. We're now moving to our next section. And here we of course, we have experts who shared more about this procedure with us and the amazing, benefits that you stand to get. But we can also tell you that, like I said, we have clients who can attest to this fact, who can attest to the magic that the MSP procedure does, right? And we'll have them joining us now. All right, we still have, in case you're worried that the experts are leaving the room, no, they're not. We still have Mr. Ayo in the building. We still have Dr. Salva in the building. We still have Karina with us. But for now, we're still just going to the client's point of view of the MSP procedure, because you might think that, okay, we're telling you this because we are the experts, right? You want to see people who have actually had this procedure done. And that is why we're answering your questions before you ask, right? So we have clients who are going to attest to that. Without wasting more time, please help me make welcome actor extraordinaire. He's great at what he does. Now, if you've seen the movie, that's for Nigerians, of course, or maybe people who are not in Nigeria and for some reason you have seen the movie to Abuja and be a fan of that movie, or you've seen the movie The Therapist, or you've seen April Showers, and of course 1,000 more, even if it's not up to 1,000, praying that it becomes 1,000 more movies that he will have acted. I'm talking about none other than Anthony Monjaro. That name is a very unique name. If you're a fan of these movies, there's no way you wouldn't have heard about him. So Anthony, thank you so much for joining us on this Zoom meeting. Thanks.
Hello. What a pleasure to be here. You talked about the last flight to Abuja. What of the first flight to Abuja?
Wow.
There's no first flight. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So if the first movie was the first flight, we would have expected a sequel. But since it ended with the last flight, there's no way we'll start again with the first flight. But thanks for joining us. So quickly, let me just read his bio for those who don't know. Anthony Monjaro is a Nigerian-born Nollywood actor. He's a model and a filmmaker. By looking at him, you know that he looks like a model. Doesn't even have to stand. He's a filmmaker as well. He holds a BSc degree in multimedia and film production from Thames Valley University, and he also has a diploma in performing arts for screen from Goldsmith College. Now, his bio is long. If I show you and you open your mouth, but because of our time, we definitely will not be able to take all of that. But once again, thank you, Anthony, for joining us.
It's my pleasure. You've got to do research on me, right? That's good.
Oh, I did my homework. And because I'm a fan, it makes it easier. But anyways, so without wasting time, Anthony, we would like to know, you've been using Vinci Hair Clinic for a long time now. You've been a client and it's been fantastic working with you. But we'd like to know from your own point of view, why Vinci Hair Clinic, and how did you even decide to, be a client with us, to get your hair transformed with us? Why that decision and why Vinci Hair
Clinic? Okay. I never knew of the procedure in the first place since forever. I only found out about it about 3 years ago during the pandemic. We're all in lockdown and we had enough time on our hand to either research or do things. And I don't know. And I stumbled across the MSP procedure thing. I didn't know what it was. And normally when I don't know what something is, I go back and do my research and then find out what it is. Now, I lost my hair quite a while ago. And for those who actually have lost their hair know how much losing their hair is like losing a child. And I was in pain for a long time. But one thing I actually had, which I maintained for a long time, was a hairline. Because when I lost my hair, I didn't lose it completely. I managed to still keep it low and have a hairline. And then that hairline started disappearing. So it's a case where I had to shave the whole thing altogether. And well, it was okay, but I wasn't too comfortable with it. Then when I found out about, somebody mentioned the MSP procedure to me. Like I said, I did my research and everything. And I chose I was going to do it. Now, we're in the pandemic, we're locked down in Nigeria, so I couldn't go anywhere. So after doing all my research, I think I researched two places where I wanted to do it. And it was going to be in London. And Vinci Hair Clinic was one of the clinics I actually chose to do it with. Now, Vinci Hair Clinic, I found out later, was in Nigeria. So I didn't have to go all the way to London to go and do it. So I called up the clinic and then had a consultation with them. And after, I think we had a 15 minutes consultation and I was convinced. Now, Doctor, I think the lady, Karina, you were saying it's not painful. Me and Ayo, we know. We've done it. It's not painful, but my pain threshold is low. Anything I'm already shaking, you know. But it's, I mean, I've done it. I did it the first time. I did three. You normally would do three procedures, which is the first one. They get darker and darker, so you don't just get suddenly, you know, the procedure done. It's in three concessions. And after the third one, I was so happy. Now, what I did is one 8 years ago. Me, I don't wait for that one. I do my own almost every 2 years because I want to have that fresh, beautiful look. I'm on set all the time, and I have this other actor who told me, he said, Tony, whoever your barber is, the guy is always spot on. I said, my barber is in Ikoyi. They call the Vinci Hair Clinic. If you don't have hair, then this is the best thing you can actually get. You know, so it's great, it's fun. I love it. I actually introduced IK to the procedure itself because he has a company that does to pay. And he saw me on and loved it. I said, listen, I'll hook you up. I said, I'll hook him up. Oh. The guy now goes behind my back and then goes and does it. The bottom line is that he went to the right place, which is the Vinci Hair Clinic, to actually get it done. And for everybody I know who actually want to have the thing done, I always recommend Vinci Hair Clinic. Now, I'm not one who would actually go out there and recommend anything to anyone if I'm not sure of it, if I'm not 100% can stand by that brand. They are family to me now, in the sense that since I've been there, now I go there all the time. Actually, my family, they do a fantastic job. No difference with doing it in the UK or America and doing it in Nigeria. My one, I did it in, I think, July. So it's still very fresh. So you could probably still see it. Let me cut my light and you can't see it very well. But it is still very fresh. And like I said, I don't wait for 8 years like Ayo. Ayo can wait for 8 years if you like. But I will go at least every 2 years. Like it's still there when after 2 years, after 3 years, but I want to have it still looking banging and fresh all the time. Because like I said, I'm constantly in front of the camera. So I want to make sure I'm still looking as crisp as possible. Yeah, like I said, for the pain thing, the pain is there, but it's not too bad. I mean, my threshold is low and I can stand it. I think the last one I did, which was in July, I had to take a break after 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And he went on for about, I think, an hour and 15 minutes. And that was just one break I took. When you start, after a while, the pain kind of almost doesn't get that torturous as when I first started. And sorry, just to say again, one more thing before I go. The clinic is beautiful. Ayo, what you've done with the new one, amazing. Too warm, too friendly. I love it. Nice. Beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anthony.
Well, I mean, it takes clients who have walked in. I'm sitting here now and I can attest to it, but it takes clients who have come in to see how beautiful the space is. So we're waiting for you to come so you can give your own testimony. And thank you a lot to Anthony for the honesty, and thank you for the dramatic explanation. You really are very good at this drama thing. Thanks for explaining it that much. So without wasting much time talking about who is your barber, we have our next guest who is a barber, right? And he works at Vinci Hair Clinic. Yes, his name is Andis the Barber. Now, a little bit of his bio. Andrews Asari is the CEO of Ghana Active Barbers. He's a multiple award winner in the barbering industry, and he owns four successful barber shops. So he's not a small boy, you know? He's widely known as Andis the Barber, and he has been in the barbering industry for a decade. Again, he's not a small boy. He's been featured on BBC, TV3, GTV, that's Ghana TV, and numerous TV radio stations for his industry knowledge and his expertise. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Ibaba. You know, when you think of Baba, there's just one fantastic one that we know at Vinci Hair Clinic, and that is Andis the Barber. Thank you so much, Andis, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. You know, I've been enjoying the show. It's so beautiful and it's so insightful and educative. My friend shares ideas, and I love what he shares. You know, I love what he shares. Mr. Ayo, greetings.
Thank you. Thank you, Andis. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, boss. Good to see everyone. Oh, with Vinci and pigmentation, scalp pigmentation, you know, it's a lot going up here in Ghana, and with my clients, some are asking, you know, a lot of people asking how to, you know, to get it done. And we will always introduce them to Vinci. And you know, about Vinci is about the best. And if you want the best and you want the whole thing to be done neatly and nice, you need to go to Vinci. Because a lot of people think that it's painful, as Madam Catherine was saying, it's painful and like, and it's not painful as people think. And then our friend just said that it's a little bit painful. That's what a guy was saying from the US, telling me that it's a little bit painful. But I think, you know, every time you have to try something new. So I've been telling my clients to go and then, you know, try it. Because if you try it, that's when you know that, oh, this is painful or it's not painful. But I know our system, a lot of people don't like change. A lot of people don't like to try things. So we just try to convince them, and then so that they could, you know, have the scalp pigmentation and everything. And I know, you know, it's the best procedure for, you know, the hair loss, right? And from where we are right now in Africa. And I think that's the best procedure for us. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Anders. I mean, we would also like to know, how did you start to work with Vinci, and why did you choose Vinci here?
You know, Vinci, I've been following Vinci, you know, it was 2020, I think 2020 or 2021 at this fair. It was a fair that I went to, and I see their stands. So when I go to them, I say, no, I've been seeing the scalp pigmentation works through my Instagram followers that I follow. And then I see they are pull up there, and I went to them straight, and I asked them, like, can I do the same thing? They say, no, it's for medication, unless you have a doctoral background, like someone who have attended maybe nursing school or who have attended doctorate, like medicine. So I say, oh, me too, I'm just a normal barber, so I cannot become the doctor. So from there, I get to, you know, get connected with Vinci, and then from 2021 till now, we've been a good partnership. We've been doing a lot of you know, live videos, educating people on that. And I bet you Vinci have made changes in Ghana here that a lot of people don't know about. They have make awareness. You know, last year they did something that they call a lot of people to come around to, you know, share the experience and then make them aware about how to grow their hair back. And then, so, you know, with Vinci is the best, you know, and I've been with them like for 2-3 years now, and then it's good. We've been moving very well.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Andy, for explaining how and why you choose to work with Vinci. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Just to remind you that we still have our panelists here. We still have them here to answer your questions. So that's just to say that we have not forgotten that you sent in questions. Because of our time, we still have 2 clients who have had this procedure done and who are ready to give their testimonies about the procedure. And I'm talking about, first of all, we have Samuel Arukoyo and we have Asaba Nathaniel. So we have these 2 clients who will just really explain what their experience was like, so you can know firsthand. So Samuel Arukoyo, thank you for joining us. Are you here? Do we have Samuel Arukoyo with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Good day to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Samuel, for joining us. So very quickly, what was your experience? I mean, you had the procedure done. What was the experience?
Okay. My experience was really great. Prior to this time, you know, I've always wanted to, when I found out that my hairline was actually chopping in, I knew that I was going to open it, and you know, I had to make my research, personal research online, and then I was able to come across the clinic on Instagram, and you know, I decided to go for it. So I think I first came across the page in 2017, but I had my procedure in 2020, like 2 years later. So and then, you know. And then I had a touch-up session yesterday. So it's a really great thing. I had a very, very good experience.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Samuel Arukoyo, for telling us what your experience was like, and thanks for choosing Vinci Hair Clinic. Also, we have Asaba Nathaniel, who would also help us share what his experience was like when he had his own procedure done. Asaba Nathaniel, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So can you quickly just share your experience with us?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Wow.
Yes.
I'm so humbled to be in the midst of giants, CEOs, and investors. So, yeah, my experience was a very, very nice one. I discovered Vinci on YouTube, Mr. Anthony. So far, I've been enjoying my airline. I like what I'm seeing. Actually, I've just done 2 sections so far. I'll be going for my 3rd section probably next month. And the experience has been amazing.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay. So much for that. Thank you for sharing your experience. So at least in case you had any doubts before, you've seen our clients, you've seen that they loved the experience. And it's about loving the experience, like in the States. You would like what you're seeing because you would definitely see results, right? So we don't just bluff here. We don't just promise you what you can't get, right? This is something that people have done and have seen results. Just like Anthony said, just like Andy Baba said, just like Mr. Ali said, everyone has assured you that you see results and you're seeing that they have results already. So here is like Nigerians would say, is talk and do. You know, so thanks again to our clients for sharing their experiences with us. Now, without wasting time, we'll go straight to the question and answer segment, right? And here, the question and answers, the questions will be for all the panelists. I'm going to be now checking the question and answer box to see the questions that have been asked, so that whoever the question is directed at, directed to you, and then you get to answer the question. So it's time to go straight to the question and answer segment. And like I said, the panelists are still here to answer your questions. So in case you're worried that they're not here, they're here. Right, so very quickly, I'm going to be reading out the questions, and then if it doesn't have any directed to anybody, I'm going to direct it to the perfect person to answer the question. So here we go. The first person says, Armstrong Akbar says, can I grow an afro after a hair transplant? I'm going to be asking Mr. Ayo to answer that question. Can he grow an afro after a hair transplant?
Yes, of course. I mean, if he's always had good hair growth before his hair loss, once the transplant is successfully completed, yes, you can still have the same hair growth. So, I don't know about afro though.
Okay.
I very rarely see people with afro, but I mean, if it's had afro before, then absolutely, why not? After the successful completion, yeah, it should have an afro. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Mr. Ayo. Also, I'm going to ask Dr. Salver this one. It says, does MSP contaminate one's blood just like tattoo? I mean, someone with tattoo can be a blood donor. What of MSP?
Yeah, having the MSP is not going to affect you being a blood donor at all. You will have no issues with that. It does not contaminate your blood.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, Sifa Asani says, that question, by the way, was from Mr. Wealth Okis. So Sifa Asani says, and I'm going to direct this at Karina. It says, is the MSP safe for much younger candidates? I mean, someone as young as 17 or 18.
Yes, the MSP is a very safe procedure. Actually, we do have done procedures for 16 years old that had cases of alopecia universalis, where you have to recreate basically the full scalp. So it's very safe for every age.
Okay. And Karina, this is still for you. It says, what are the side effects of scalp pigmentation? And does your hair grow back after scalp pigmentation?
So there is no side effects of micropigmentation, but micropigmentation is not real hair. It's not hair transplant. It's just like a pigment that simulates your hair follicles when it's completely shaved.
Okay. So Mr. Ayo, this person said, that's Sylvester Abba says, if and when a cure for baldness is finally possible, can one explore such an opportunity after the MSP procedure? That's the person is just saying that if eventually they find out that bald people can eventually grow their hair back, when you have the MSP done, will that hinder you from being a beneficiary of the solution?
Yeah. I mean, there is already a solution for baldness, hair loss, and that's hair transplant. But on a serious note, yes, you can have an MSP and later have a hair transplant procedure. There's nothing that precludes you from having a hair transplant procedure because you've had an MSP. Or similarly, if you've had a hair transplant procedure, you could still have an MSP, possibly to just fill out the gaps like we talked about earlier. So yes, it doesn't preclude you from having a hair transplant later.
Okay, great. Karina, this person says, after the treatment, can I braid my hair with an attachment?
To braid the hair. Like
yes.
In the case, like I would say for long hair, pigmentation for a lady.
Yeah, so the person is asking, obviously this is an African asking, right? So usually we have this attachment where we use to braid the hair, make it longer, make it look neater and more beautiful. So the person is asking, after the MSP, can I attach, like, the way they do wigs and extensions, can I add an extension to my hair?
Yes, definitely. You can add it because it doesn't affect, because it's on your skin. So it doesn't affect your hair. You can do your hairstyle or every kind of hair extensions. That's no problem.
Okay. And Dr. Salver, this one says, Fortune Okolo says, what are the adverse and long-term effects of the MSP procedure on your hair? So I think he means both side effects and positives.
Yeah, I noticed in the questions quite a few people were asking that, so I just want to clarify. Number one, it is not going to affect your hair loss. So like Karina touched on, like we talked about, the MSP is not going to stop your hair loss, and it's not going to regrow your hair. It's going to camouflage your balding and make it look like you have hair. So there are no side effects, but the pigment over the time will start to fade. Now, how long that will take depends on one person to another. I think Ayo said he said it for 8 years now without touching up. Others will come in 5 years. Others come back in 10 years. And that just to go on to another question, I use the opportunity. Somebody was asking, is the cost the same when you come for a touch-up? And say, no, the cost is not the same because you will need a lot less work. So there's really no side effects or long-term effects. The pigment will stay there. It will slowly fade slightly with time. But that is going to take quite a few years before that happens. So anybody that is worried about side effects or long-term issues can put their mind at ease with that.
Well, there you have it. If you're worried about side effects, then put your mind at rest. You have nothing to worry about. Dr. Salva, I'll still have you on this one. David Bruno Oshukbeha says, my hair in the middle is lighter than the hair by the sides. It's more like a see-through to the scalp. So he's asking, what is the cause of this? And he's also saying that it itches him sometimes by the edge and it's all thinning out. So, I mean, I don't think this is entirely about the MSP, but he's asking to know what the cause of that can be.
It is so many options really that it could cause that it's impossible to answer with so little information. Whenever there is an issue like that, where you have some itching in the scalp, where you have some discomfort, we always recommend coming in for a consultation. We can check you on the microscope, talk to an expert. It's very difficult to answer without seeing the actual problem and getting more information.
Thank you, sir. While I was scrolling through, I saw someone's comment about the chat box being closed. Right, so I mentioned that the chat box was open, the question and answer box is open. So there's a place that says chat. We're not using that, we're using the Q&A box. The reason I'm addressing this is the person says, we disable the chat box so that they can participate to win the 600,000 naira free MSP. That is not true. People are asking questions, and of course, obviously, we're answering the questions. So it is not disabled. It's not a scam, right? I'm seeing the question. So please don't use the chat box. You can use the question. There's a place that says Q&A, right? And if you see that, you see that that the numbers are increasing. That's where we're reading the questions from. So you can ask your questions and we'll answer. It's not a scam. All right. So let's go ahead. Fortune Okolo asked more questions, and I'm just going to be reading that. It says, is there anything being done to subsidize the costs for clients? And, you know, this moves me to also ask that a lot of people are saying that it's way too expensive, right? So Mr. Ayo, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, this is exactly what I said earlier. You know, we want to try and make our services as accessible as possible to the wide range of Africans. Now, bearing in mind that 600,000 naira is quite a lot of money for lots of people, don't be put off by the headline figure. It's better for you to come to the clinic. Let's have a look at you. There might be things we could do for you. And we're always looking for ways that we could help people. So don't just be fixated on the headline price of an MSP. First thing you want to do is to come and talk to us. And let's see if there's anything else we can do for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. I think it's time for me to bring Anthony, put him on the spot, because I'm seeing a question about celebrities and why they haven't done it. So this person is saying that if it's about the money, why are celebrities that are bald not having this procedure? And he's saying he's sure that they can afford it. So why are they doing it? Right. And then he also says that it inversely tells him that there has to be something else why people haven't embraced this solution. I mean, from what Anthony said earlier, he said that he was one who had to bring someone else on board, obviously because the person was not aware. So I'll just let Anthony answer that.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can hear me? Okay, yeah.
Yes, we can.
It's personal choice. I didn't know about it till 2020 during the pandemic itself. If I had known about it earlier, I would have done it. See, it's not everybody's cup of tea. You know, I was asking me one time, so why don't I go for the full transplant? I prefer the hairline. I mean, I've grown used to the hairline, so I'm happy with the hairline. That's why I did my one. A lot of people, I have a few friends who have actually spoken to about it, who are friends of mine in the industry. And they said they would do it, but they haven't had time. You've got to understand as well, if you don't know about something or you don't gear yourself towards doing it, the eagerness to want to do it might not be there. They might be satisfied with how they are at the moment. But like I said, quite a few people who have seen it, who I've worked with, they like it and they say they will do it. But then if it's not their preference, it's not their preference. I don't think there's anything to do with the fact that there's a problem. What problem? I mean, I've had it for almost this is the third year, and I'm happy with it. There are no side effects. I can attest for myself. Whatever I can, but I don't think it's whoever is saying that it's because that why they're not doing it. I mean, come on. There's a lot of things going on in Hollywood and other places where they're not doing things. Doesn't mean that at the end of the day there's a problem with it. I can attest for myself because you know I am me and I've done it for myself, and I'm very happy with it.
All right. Thank you so much, Anthony. And I would also like to chip in that from the fact that Anthony mentioned that he brought IQ on board means that not everybody knows about this procedure. And that's why we do our best every day to create awareness. That's why you're here. That's why we're asking you to share, because the fact that the person is a celebrity doesn't mean they have all the solutions, right? And once they find out about this procedure, they will embrace it, right? Like he said, it's a personal choice, but not everybody knows about it. So not just conclude that they're refusing to do it because they don't want to do it. It might just be that they don't know about it. So maybe you're the person they're waiting for to tell them about it. Who knows? Just like Anthony told Ike Bruna about it. But thank you once again, Anthony, for that. Mr. Ayo, this person says, and from what Mr. Ayo Otubaja is saying, fine needle means sharp. And I get that. But how deep does it go into your scalp?
It doesn't go deep at all. It doesn't. If you heard what Dr. Salvat said earlier, you know, the needles actually bend. You know, so it basically follows the way, you know, it's about the same width as your hair, as a hair shaft. So it doesn't go deep and it's not that painful either.
All right, Mr. Ayo, still on you. This one says, these transplanted hair, where do you get them? Is it safe? Any health hazards? And what is your source for the hair?
Well, the transplant, the donor follicles are actually taken from yourself. So usually from the back or the sides of the scalp, because those are the safe areas to get donor follicles from. It's very safe. There aren't any lingering effects. As long as the procedure has been successfully completed, there's absolutely no reason why you cannot start seeing hair growth within 3 months and even get a full effect within 6 to 9 months.
All right, thank you so much for that. Now, this other person says, and I'm going to direct this question at Karina. Now, it says that my question is maintaining the low cut. Does MSP hair grow back? So he's saying MSP hair won't grow back, right? Because obviously his concern is maintaining low cut. Karina, are you there? Okay, I think we don't have Karina. So, Mr. Ayo, do you want to answer that?
Well, yeah, the whole point about prescalp pigmentation is not the growth of hair. That's very important to clear. It doesn't actually involve hair at all. It's simply a way of pigmenting your scalp to give that illusion of hair growth, or to give the illusion that hair is about to grow from your scalp. So it doesn't grow the hair at all.
All right.
Can I chip in there? Can I chip in there a bit?
Yeah. Sorry, Anthony.
Yes. For me, I shave my hair because it depends on how quickly the leftover of your hair grows. My one grows pretty quick, so I kind of shave every other day. You got to, for it to have the clean, fine look, you have to shave every day to make the MSP actually show. So you have to shave. It's not something where, like I said, it's not hair growth. You have something, not a tattoo, but what is an illusion of a hairline, But for you to actually have that seen when people see you, you've got to shave your hair to level up with your hair, with your skin itself. So that comes out. Yeah. If that helps, that's clear.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for thank you for chipping that in, Anthony. Also, Dr. Salva, this person says, Oluwatosin Kuye says, I'm just 21 years old, but my hair is falling on a daily basis. Do you think
Sorry, Blessing, I lost you there in the last one. He's 21 years old. Yeah, go on.
That's fine. Yes, so the person is 21 years old, but the hair seems to be falling on a daily basis, and he or she is asking, do you think the MSP is the best option for me?
What is the best option will depend very much on the person. It's definitely a good option, but there are also other options we can look at. So we can look at what is the goal. Is the goal just to make it look like you have a hairline and everything is full? Then yes, absolutely. Is the goal to actually stop the hair loss? Then it's not what's gonna do that for you. So it's always a great option, but you have to look at these things individually. What is great for Anthony might not be great for somebody else. What is great for me might not be great for somebody else. So we always have to take this all into consideration. And I just wanted to go into one of the questions which was asked, if it's so good, why is not everybody having it? Why are there celebrities that have not had it? And the good answer to that is a lot of them have had it, and you just don't know about it. We have so many celebrity clients that have pigmentation who have hair transplants.
That's very true, actually.
Yeah. So this is something you have to bear in mind. Not everybody is willing to talk about it. They have the procedure, and you just think that they'll shave their hair. But actually, they've had the procedure done.
Sorry, let me add again to that.
Sure.
The doctor is totally right. I know of at least 3 people who've actually done it, who obviously they don't want to be mentioned. They've had it done. So yeah, he's right. The people who have actually done it don't want to talk about it.
Well, there you have it. You see, so it's not that people don't get it done. It's just that not everybody wants to talk about it. Thanks for clarifying that, Dr. Salva and Anthony. Now, I think I'm going to still ask Dr. Salva this question. This person says, "Can I still do a hair transplant after an MSP?"
Absolutely. Yeah, the MSP. I think Ayo touched on this earlier. You can have the hair transplant and then the MSP. You can have the MSP and the hair transplant. There is nothing stopping you from having that. And the same with MSP. If you want to do medical treatments like PRP, mesotherapy, you want to take medication for hair loss to stop the hair loss, there is nothing stopping you from doing that at all. It won't affect that in any way.
Great. All right. So this one is for Andis the Barber. I hope you still have Andis the Barber. Good afternoon. So after this procedure, can I come to your shop to get a haircut?
Yes, they come.
And since we can't hear you clearly.
They can come out. Like if they want the question.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Well, there you go. Yes, we can. Andis has said that you can come to his shop to get your hair cut. He's a fantastic barber, so you don't have to worry about it. Karina, this person says, does one get swollen lymph nodes after the procedure?
No, definitely not, because like we have mentioned before, it's like it goes only on the first layer of the skin, and it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't. A lot of people ask as well that, is this gonna damage my, my original hair? It doesn't, because it doesn't go that deep. It goes only on the first layer of the skin, like Salvar mentioned before. So it definitely not gonna affect your lymph nodes either. So it's very safe.
How about allergic reactions?
No allergic reactions. We never had a case of allergic reactions, but if somebody wants to do like a test before, we can do a little bit just to see how the skin is going to react. And if it's going to have a reaction, it's going to be basically immediately. You'll see like in the first 5 minutes if the skin gets redness, but we never really had a case of allergy.
Great. Okay. Mr. Ayo, this person says, after the MSP, do I use chemical-based product or natural product on the hair? What's the aftercare?
Well, after the MSP, like Karina mentioned earlier, you would not be able to wash your scalp for between 5 to 7 days anyway. So you wouldn't be able to apply any cream or whatever on your scalp until the pigment actually settle into your scalp. So, but after that, yeah, of course, you can do what you normally do. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Ayo, still, does minoxidil work for hair loss? This person is asking.
Very good question. It very much depends on the particular type of hair loss that you're experiencing. This is the reason why having a consultation with a hair loss clinic is actually important, because if you just go to your pharmacist and get minoxidil over the counter thinking it would help your particular type of hair loss and it doesn't work, that is quite dispiriting. I think better for you to come to a hair loss specialist like ourselves, get a proper diagnosis of exactly the type of hair loss that you have, and then we'll be able to suggest whether minoxidil or indeed any other form of medication would be appropriate for you.
Okay, fantastic. Dr. Salva, this person says, I feel what a lot of people want to know is, how do you deal with the MSP when your hair starts growing?
Well, it's a very simple answer. When it starts growing, if you have a shave style, you have to shave it to keep it similar. You have to maintain the hair to the length that is designed. So we can say in general, you have two types of MSP. You have the shaved MSP, like we see that with Anthony and Ayo, where they decided to shave it down, and the MSP just completes the area where there is no hair. I imagine if you create the MSP in the short style and your hair on the sides is going to grow out, you're going to see the difference. The hair is going to look long here and it's going to look short on the top. So there you have to shave it just to keep it matching. If you have a long hair MSP, then it's very different. You don't really need to do anything, as the pigment will be blended in between your existing hair, and there is no need to obviously shave the hair in that case.
All right. Well, with that said, we have come to the end of the question and answer segment. It wasn't long, but it was insightful. So I would like to say a big thank you to our guests, our panelists so far. We have Dr. Salva Bjornsson. Of course, he's the founder of the MSP procedure. Like I say, he is the reason we're even having this Zoom meeting in the first place. So thank you so much, Dr. Salva, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We also
want
to say thank you. We also want to say a big thank you to Karina Santos for also joining us and helping us clarify some of the misconceptions and answering our questions to the latter. Thank you, Karina, for joining us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
It's a pleasure. Then we have Mr. Ayo Tubanjo, of course, is original CEO for Africa, Interior Clinic Africa. Like I said, we're not just stopping in Nigeria and Ghana alone. We're planning to expand our scope. So thank you, Mr. Ayo, for joining us on this discussion.
Thank you.
And of course, our actor extraordinaire, Anthony Munjaro, thank you for being here and thank you for answering the questions as truthfully and as dramatically as possible. I think I just like the fact that it was very dramatic response you gave us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Last but not the least, of course, we have the Baba. You know, Anthony said, they always ask, who's your Baba? And talking about Babas, we had the Baba in the building, and that's Andis the Baba. Thank you so much, Andis, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. So quickly, I'll just like to say that for those of us who had questions on here or who still have questions that have not been answered, we're definitely going to provide contact where you can send in your questions and you definitely get answers. And in case I haven't mentioned, our consultations, unlike other hair clinics, are free. So we don't charge you for consultation. So you can come in and get as many answers to as many questions as possible, and then you book your session. So in case you didn't get to get responses to your questions here or your questions weren't answered, we're going to provide contacts that you can reach us through at the end of the webinar. So please still stay with us for a little bit. We're almost done. But right now we'll go to our final poll question. Now we can join after the 2 poll questions. We're just asking a question and then you can click either yes or no. That's how it works. So we can measure our progress so far. So the last 3rd question is, if you have been considering an MSP, has this seminar helped to convince you to go ahead? That's the question. And we're going to give you like 60 seconds to answer that. So please, time is of the essence. So as quickly as possible, click a yes if it's a yes, a no if it's a no. The question says, if you have been considering an MSP, has this seminar helped to convince you to go ahead, or has it not? So our answers are coming in already. And people are already clicking. We have 53% answered already, and the answer is still yes. No. But anyways, the poll question is still on. So we have about 20 seconds to finish that. We'll just wait a bit so we can get your answers and see where we're at. All right, 10 seconds to go. That 100% yes, because there's no no. All right, thank you so much for answering the poll questions. Thank you for being active so far. By the way, we're going to be choosing our winners very shortly, and we'll let you know how we do that. So for those people thinking that it's a scam, no, it's not a scam. We're going to pick 5 people who will get access to the free MSP session that is worth 600,000 Naira. Right. So thanks for staying with us so far. We really do appreciate your time with us. I'm very sure that you've learned a lot from the panelists, because I have, and I'm sure you have as well. So like I said, if you still have questions that are unanswered, we're going to provide contact at the end of this webinar that you can reach us through. So in the meantime, since we're wrapping up, I'm going to now invite Mr. Ayo Otubanjo, who will give us his closing remark. Thank you, Mr. Ayo, for being here. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Blessings. And a big thank you to Blessings, in-house media presenter, for being such a very professional host. You've really made this seminar come together very well, and I'm sure everybody would agree with me and give you thumbs up Well done.
Thank you. Thank you
Well
so
done.
much.
And also would like to thank the communications director, Tosin, who was instrumental in putting together the seminar itself for all the work that she does on our communications. And then people that you haven't said who are working in the background, such as Chijoke, who is our in-house video production person, and Unibisi, who is our digital marketing manager. These are people you don't see, but they do quite a lot of work in the background to make all these things happen and be successful. Thank you very much, Salva, for your time. I know how busy you are. So, I mean, one of the things they asked me at the beginning was, would Salva have the time? And I was saying, fingers crossed, let's just pray it does. And like as usual, Salva's come through for us. So thank you very much, Salva. And thank you, Karina. Thank you so much. So good to see you after so many years, and thank you for making time for, to attend the seminar and really give us some interesting, perspective and, deep information about MSP. It's been absolutely wonderful. And to the versatile Anthony Monjaro, they are our star Nollywood actor. Thank you very much for giving such a wonderful testimony about your time with us. You're welcome. You're part of the family now. You're part of the Vinci family. So you're always welcome. Thank you very much. And
thank you. Thank you so much.
It's great for you, Andis, to join us. Funny enough, I'm actually in the same city as you, Andis. I'm in Accra as we speak. So, but unfortunately, I'll be flying back to Lagos tonight. Thank you very much. And thanks to the other people on the customer view segment. I mean, it's been a fantastic seminar and we've all made it a success. So really would like to thank everybody and give everybody a big thank you very much, guys. Thank you. And thank you, Blessing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Ayo. Now, before we wrap up, I'll just like to remind us that this is going to be posted. The videos are going to be posted. So in case you missed out on it at this and you still want to share links with your friends, we're going to give you more information on that. And then for the winners, please be on the lookout. Follow our Instagram handle at Vinci Hair Africa. And that's where we'll be posting the winners, and then you can get to see for yourself. So make sure you follow us and you're up to date on our posts. And don't forget, we're always open to receive you. So please come in for your consultations, which are free, and also come in to book your session. We'll definitely, like Anthony said, the space is beautiful. We're welcoming. So you have nothing to worry about. The procedures, we have expert doctors, expert nurses who will attend to you. So it's time for you to get your hair game on, right? No more delay. I'm hoping that this seminar has done nothing but opened your eyes to every possibility that there is to the MSP session and the MSP procedure. That said, I would like to say that you all have a wonderful, fantastic day, a wonderful weekend, and have a beautiful life. And we're waiting for you to get your hair game changed. Thank you so much for joining us. See you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye. 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 Bye.